There is something about Bangkok that refuses to let you get comfortable. Just when you thought you have seen it all, a new street, a hidden temple, a flavor you have never tasted, pulls you right back in. What I'm going to show you in this episode is exactly what I did in just 48 hours in this magical city. There is no grand itinerary, no tourist checklist, just me, Bangkok, and whatever this city decides to throw at me. So, if you're planning a trip or just love watching someone fall in love with a city all over again, stick around. Let's do Bangkok together. Most people fly into Bangkok. Me, not this time. This journey started not at the airport, but at the land border. I was coming in from Cambodia, specifically Sihanouk View, all the way overland into Thailand. By air, the flight takes about an hour. Simple, clean, but forgettable. And by road, 12 hours. 12 hours of watching Cambodia slowly unfold outside the bus window. Was the overland journey long? Absolutely. Was it worth it? Every single minute. And then, the minivan simply pulled over right in the middle of a city and dropped me off. First thing I do, turn on my GPS.
My bus from the border dropped me off in the middle of Bangkok. I think this is the city center. I need to orientate myself. Where am I now? Because I've never been to this part of the town. I know I need to wriggle out of this small alley into the main street. Then I can take reference from there.
And there it is. I find myself dead center of Bangkok. Couldn't be more in the middle of a city if I tried. And yet, I have absolutely no idea where I am. 30 plus visit to this city, 30 plus walking off the streets, and somehow Bangkok still have the nerve to make me feel completely and utterly lost. I find myself navigating a labyrinth of narrow lanes, turning left, turning right. Every lane just looked exactly like the last. And then I find the main road.
I think I know where I am. I'm at this near the Pratunam area.
Pratunam. Of course it is Pratunam. Pratunam is a stretch of road I've walked along many times than I can count. Instantly familiar. The sound, the stores, the chaos, all of it like bumping into an old friend. But the funny thing about Bangkok though, the moment you step off the main road and into the small lanes, all bets are off. It doesn't matter how many times you have been here, this city swallows you whole and you start from zero. Now that I've got my bearing, next problem, a bed for the night. Year end in Bangkok is the peak season, the kind of time that every hotel in the city fills up weeks in advance.
Hello. Is that White Lodge? Do you have any room for tonight? One person. What?
And I've come into Bangkok with hotel booked, nothing. I check on my booking app. I'm told all rooms are fully booked. Oh, but then one spot, one single dorm bed for just one night only at a hostel called Sleep Lab.
This is my home for tonight.
I instantly take it.
Just next to a bit.
Now, this hotel is interesting, and I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to say anything on camera, but take a look at the surrounding as we walk through.
The shower room?
Have a good look at what's around it. If you catch it, you catch it.
Okay.
Sleep Lab is clean, well thought out, a little different from the average hostel. And the bed, surprisingly comfortable. The kind of comfortable where you close your eyes and the next thing you know is morning. I slept through the whole night. No complaints whatsoever. One night down, time to move on to the next accommodation.
And within the small lorong, there is even
Fortunately,
a smaller
I
lorong.
don't have to go far.
That's my hostel.
So first thing in the morning, bags packed, check out, and off I went on foot. Luggage on tow to my next home for the night.
Hello, have a reservation?
Micro hostel.
Huh?
Now, this one is a little different.
Yes, the common
Tonight, I
offering.
get a proper door, a lock, a space that genuinely mine for the
I
night.
don't like it. It's a little bit compact.
No doubt, it's a shared bathroom.
Yes, oh.
That's fine.
This is my bed. Oh,
There are no windows. That's fine for me too.
I will have this room to myself today.
And there's another reason why I chose micro hostel. This hostel is right smack in the middle of Pratunam,
Small lane which
the
I
exact neighborhood where the minivan has dropped me off the day before.
almost 25
Full circle.
visits to Bangkok.
I start where I get comfortable. The main road of Phetchaburi Road. My anchor point for Pratunam. And then I go deeper. I thought the main road was frantic. I had no idea. But the moment I turn into the small lanes and alley, it is like stumbling into another new city within a city. A micro community, completely alive. Shops stacked against shops, eateries spilling into the narrow walkways, and people everywhere going about their day like the outside world didn't exist. And yes, there are foreigners here too, but not the usual kind. These are not the tourists ticking off a checklist. These are what I call deep travelers. People who clearly found something most visitors never do. And right here, in that moment, I feel it. 30 plus visits, I genuinely believe I know Bangkok. Well, I thought knowing Pratunam wholesale market was enough to say, yes, I know this city. But I am terribly wrong. Bangkok is so much more than MBK, Siam Discovery Center or Central World. And it takes one afternoon in a network of small alleys to completely humble me. The only thing I can recognize from inside these alleys was the Bio Sky Hotel poking above the rooftop. Walking out of those Pratunam lanes, one thought keeps circling in my head. Bangkok, I have barely scratched the surface. And so, I keep exploring. A name keeps coming up whenever I watch other deep Bangkok travelers talk about the city. A place that appears again and again in the vlogs of people who clearly went beyond the usual trail. Ko Kret. I set out early, deliberately early, because Bangkok afternoon heat is not something you want to fight on an island with no shade and no air conditioning. Ko Kret sits about 30 kilometers from central Bangkok. One train transfer, a walk to the pier, and you are there.
That way.
Further details on exactly how to get there, I've covered all that in the previous video. The link is up there. Go watch that one first if you need the full breakdown. Most international visitors never make it there. Not because it's difficult, but because Bangkok alone already stretches most itinerary to the limit. Ko Kret gets left on the list for the next visit. I'm the kind of person who has been drawn to places I've never been. And the moment I step off the ferry, something shifts. There is no car horns, no traffic, no exhaust fume, and the gridlock. Ko Kret is completely car-free. Not a single motor vehicle on the entire island. What you get instead is something rare in a city like Bangkok: stillness. The kind of stillness that makes you realize how much voice you have been absorbing even without noticing. Ko Kret is probably what Thailand looked like decades ago. And somehow, just 30 kilometers from one of Asia's most frantic cities, it is still there, perfectly preserved. Ko Kret does something that few other places can do. It gives me a genuine exhale, a complete reset from the pace of city life without asking me to travel very far at all. And with that, I say goodbye to the island and make my way back to Bangkok. The city is waiting for me. Back in Bangkok, rested well, and as the sun goes down, I go out. And if you have never been to Bangkok at year end, let me tell you something. This is the city at its absolute best. The heat that defines Bangkok for most of the year, gone. Or at least, tame. The cool season settles in around this time, but it's not just the weather. There is something in the air during year-end Bangkok that is different to put in words. And at Central World, a full festive market, bustling with people, food, music, and the kind of joy that only comes around once a year. From the Siam district, I have one more stop in mind for the evening. One Bangkok, the newest biggest mall in the city at that point. It is brand new, shiny, and very much the talk of town. And then, on the BTS ride back, I wasn't looking for anything. I just watched the city slide past the window. And then I saw it, a shopping mall lit up so spectacular from the outside that I did something I almost never do mid-journey. I got off the train, Emsphere. Now, I've heard people talk about Emsphere year-end decoration. I have seen snippets of it in Instagram, and I thought I have a reasonable idea of what to expect. And yet, that did not still prepare me for what I'm going to see later. Every corner of Emsphere, every level, every surface is screaming with color and lights and energy. Bold, bright, and very festive. And yet somehow, not a single thing too much is overdone. It's not chaotic. It is maximalist and perfectly controlled at the same time. Flight day today, which means today has one rule: don't overdo it. No grand plans, no ambitious itinerary, just Bangkok at a walking pace and nowhere urgent to be. I find myself drifting towards Rama I Road, and almost naturally, I ended up exactly where I need to be. Bangkok Arts and Culture Centre is right beside National Stadium BTS. A place I walked past many times, but today, I'm actually walking right in. And if the building looked familiar the first time you see it, there's a reason for that. That sweeping white facade, curved exterior, step inside and you'll be greeted by a spiraling, multi-floor interior that winds upward in a way that immediately makes you think, Guggenheim, New York. It gives me the feeling every single time I walk through these doors. And BACC is more than just the architecture. It is genuinely alive as a cultural space. Rotating exhibition, music, theatre, film, design events. Today, I am in the mood for something artsy, so I wander into a few of the pop-up exhibitions running that morning. I take my time, let things catch my eye without rushing past them. And if you find your way to the right spots, you get something else entirely. A clear view across Bangkok's skyline. The Siam district stretching out below you, all glasses and color and movement. Step out of Bangkok Arts and Culture Center, look across the road. And there she is, MBK. Ma Bun Kong, built in 1985, 40 years old and still standing. In shopping mall terms, that's grandmother status. Full stop. Before Siam Paragon, before Central World, before One Bangkok and Emsphere, and certainly before Central Park Bangkok and all the gleaming newcomers, Ma Bun Kong was the mall. The one people dress up to visit in the 1980s and 90s. And for me personally, MBK holds a very specific place. This was the first shopping mall I walked into on my very first trip to Bangkok. And whatever year that was, and whatever version of me that stand at the entrance door, I remember it. And that kind of memory doesn't fade, no matter how many newer, shinier malls open around it. Has MBK lost some of its relevance? Yes, honestly. New malls have come and defined the games entirely. MBK knows it and is trying. Don Don Donki has moved in, pop-ups appeared, and is fighting to stay in the conversation. But here's the thing though, I still come back. Every single time I'm in this area, I find myself walking through the doors. Not for the big names, not for the slick design, and certainly not for the Michelin star restaurants, because you won't find this here. If you're looking for souvenirs to bring home, genuinely good ones at honest price, MBK remains one of the best places to be in Bangkok to do exactly that. My own routine, I always time MBK for last. And my last shopping mall in this trip, Terminal 21. My Thai friend called. Lunch plans before I head to the airport. We fixed our lunch appointment here at Terminal 21. I have not been inside Terminal 21 for years. So, good timing then. Terminal 21 Asok sits almost directly on top of BTS Asok station. The kind of location that makes every other logistical decision easy. I feel like I'm in the airport terminal, not metaphorically, literally signage pointing me towards departure. Destination listed, the whole architecture of international travel recreated inside a shopping mall in the middle of Bangkok. At level LG, it is the Caribbean theme. We start at the bottom, LG level. The entire theme is Caribbean, all warm tones and island energy. One level up, G level. This is the Rome level. This is where Roman columns flanking the walkways. And when you can see Roman statue standing guard outside shop fronts. And Roman fresco painted across the walls. It is almost theatrical. Come level 1, the mood shifts entirely. This entire level is Tokyo theme. Not a vague nod towards Japan. This is Shinjuku, where lanterns strung high above the head, and torii gates framing the entrance to shops. And the toilets, manga panels painted floor to ceiling inside. Following the London Underground signage up to level 2, you will find yourself on a very different kind of streets. There is a red telephone box. A Union Jack stretched across the ceiling. And yes, London buses. Can't miss them, can't mistake them. Level 3 takes us to Istanbul. You see Turkish lanterns cascading from the ceiling, the warm glow of a bazaar atmosphere running through the whole floor. Personally, having seen similar design approaches in malls across Dubai, this one felt familiar to me. More expected than surprising. But if this is your first encounter with this aesthetic, it lands well. And then, level 4. San Francisco, my absolute favorite. From the very first time I saw it, trust me, I've seen it many times. When I was based in Bangkok about 10 years ago, I used to visit this mall almost every other single day. And every single time I come here, that San Francisco tram running along the ceiling track really appeals to me. And then, the Golden Gate Bridge. Spanning an entire width of that level, is full scale, every cable, every tower rendered in extraordinarily detail. Lunch at Terminal 21 deserves its own mention. Because this food court is without question one of the most affordable ones you will find inside any shopping mall in Bangkok. The prices are almost startling by mall standard. And for me, it's not just cheap, but good. Coming back here with my friend, sitting down with a full meal for almost nothing.
咖啡盐น้ำเปล่าหนึ่ง
Some things in Bangkok thankfully don't change. Terminal 21 still worth every floor. And with lunch done, my friends seen off, and my bag already packed, it is time for the airport, the real one this time. Bangkok, until next time. Time to go. And the airport that I'm heading today isn't the one most people visit when they think of Bangkok. I'm heading towards Don Mueang, the older of the two international airports in Bangkok. The one that was here long before Suvarnabhumi becomes the familiar face of Bangkok aviation. And one that quietly keeps doing its job for millions of tourists every year. Setting off from Terminal 21, I flag a taxi. The journey is about 30 minutes, less than 200 baht. From city center to airport, it is smooth and straightforward. But here's something I've only find out after checking in and collect my boarding pass. The MRT Red Line, which runs all the way out to Don Mueang Airport. MRT Red Line is faster, cheaper, and with no traffic to negotiate. I didn't know that coming in, but now I know. If there's a next time, this is exactly how I'm arriving. 2 nights in Bangkok, 48 hours.
Hello, hi.
I am doing Bangkok at
Chiang Mai.
a pace that equals parts
Okay,
deliberate and parts completely unplanned. And it somehow turns out everything is exactly right. I am Uncle Go Travel. This has been my 48 hours whirlwind visit to one of the world's greatest cities. And if you have watched it this far, genuinely thank you. It means a lot. If you enjoy it, hit the like button, drop a comment below. And if you are new here, welcome. Subscribe so that you won't miss what's coming next. Because my next destination, Chiang Mai. Stay tuned.